What is something that you're aware of that someone thinks you don't know? My ex-wife won't tell me about her boyfriend, but I see him at the bar occasionally and will have a drink with him. And my kid likes him, so no problem for me. I've had similar situations with my ex, actually. She's tried to hide both relationships she's had since we both separated, even though both of them were around my son within a matter of weeks of the relationship starting. And she wouldn't say anything to me for over a month in both cases, despite me being very transparent with her about my relationships and their interactions with my son, despite her very strongly warning me not to let total strangers near our kid. Funny that. Little did she know I was already friends with the first one, and he actually asked me about it before they started dating. And I even now regularly see the second out on the town, down at the pub. I quite like both of them, to be honest, and so has my son. My coworker was fired for having inappropriate interactions with our vulnerable person's clientele. They made him sign a non-disclosure agreement and gave him severance to keep it hush-hush. He thinks that no one knows. We all know, man. We all know. One guy at my work has a crush on me, so he'll randomly tell me about what someone in another department did as a way to talk to me. Then he gets mad when I tell him he's being a gossip, and what he's saying means nothing to me. God, I had no idea guys were such gossip divas. This question could apply to numerous friends of mine in the past, unfortunately. But I have a friend right now with a bad drug problem, and he thinks he's fooling everyone. He'll tell everyone that he's too sick to talk or text during the day, but will call or text at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. to say that he's partying and wants to know if anyone wants to join. Not slick at all, bro. Bro is just a night owl that wants to game with his buds. Nobody ever joins him because they assume he's doing drugs. So sad. You joke, but when I was in college, I never maintained a proper sleeping pattern. Mentioned pulling a few all-nighters to my aunt one time, and she immediately accused me of doing coke. I am half deaf, and I make sure nearly everyone around me knows this, so nobody thinks I'm ignoring them when I'm just not hearing them. The thing about that is a lot of people think I am a lot more deaf than I actually am, so people often just talk about me when I'm nearby and assume I'm not hearing it. And by staying quiet and letting them think that, I now know what nearly everyone I know thinks about me. It's helped me figure out who my real friends are quite a few times. My parents don't know that I could hear them almost every night when they would talk about me, and how much I was failing them. Also how I was a lying teenager who also didn't get the good genes, talking about my looks. I heard all of it. Sounds like you dodged the bad genes in regard to personality. Well, I don't know. My parents were dirt poor for the longest time. Money and entitlement never got to their heads till I was 13 or so. My dad hit big on a job, and ever since, it's been downhill of rich entitlement. My dad made it on his own. Everyone else lives off the generational wealth. I think that's what it is. I'm not making it on my own as well as he did at my age. I'm 22. He had a house, wife, and zero debt at that age. I have told him it's impossible to do that in this day, but the obliviousness and out-of-touchness has ruined their opinion on the poor, like myself. Buddy, if you can be a good man while having parents like that, then that's a great achievement. Don't feel bad about yourself. Just keep improving at your own pace. I have a friend who was like a sister to me, and when she got engaged, she said the wedding is going to be a very small and closed ceremony. So when I didn't get an invite, I thought, wow, it must be like 10 people, because, like I said, she was like a sister to me. And I thought I'd definitely make the ceremony at least if it was like a 20-person guest list. Nope, it was more like a 200-person affair, and one of my mates, who she met through me, got an invite, and she was allowed a +1. My friend that went showed me photos, and there were people from school that she hadn't seen in years, with all their +1s. She also invited both neighbors from a house she'd only been living in for 6 months. My friend that went and I still don't know why I wasn't invited, but that's her problem. Though I'm sure she knows I know because I have declined all invites to her birthdays and other parties since. The guy who owns the store I work at had an affair with the HR manager while he was alive. After he died, his wife took over the store and hired the husband of the HR manager to run the store and had an affair with him. that our manager monitors what we do in real time from his computer, and knows that my colleagues come in late, leave early, and bugger off during the day. That's why they no longer work from home full time. And I know this simply because I read the handbook. Pretty sure the landlord put a camera in the attic just to make a big show of how he couldn't get it to work. We have a raccoon problem, and the landlord fixed it, but there is still a problem. I think they think I'm going up there making noise, since they can't catch any raccoons or find where they are getting in. The other tenants are complaining about the noises. The only access to the attic is in my apartment. I don't go up there because I can't due to health problems. But still, it annoys me that they've tried to fool me by making a big show of not being able to get the wireless camera to work. I used to work as a night watchman for decades at a place, and had my own set of secret keys that gave me access to practically everything. I would routinely, as in every night, check my boss's office to check the camera feed and see if there were any new cameras and see what was going on because my boss would write everything down on a notepad which I would read. I knew about all kinds of stuff they knew that they didn't think I knew about. I even knew ahead of time when they were going to let me go to save money as well. 20 plus years of getting away with all kinds of stuff I did was a hell of a run. To address how I didn't get caught, most of the cameras were exterior cameras, and they didn't have a budget for interior ones the first 10 years I was there. I stayed there for as long as I did because it was such an easy job. I was allowed to do the job as I saw fit, within reason, and nothing really ever happened there, so I could basically do the bare minimum and then goof off for the rest of the time. They tried to put in these new wireless cameras inside the building at one point, in important areas. I saw the sealed box of Arlo cameras on my boss's desk one night, so I carefully unsealed the box, opened up the base unit, physically disconnected the antenna, and disabled the link buttons so it would not work and couldn't link with the cameras, and then put it all back and resealed the box. My boss gave up and returned the cameras and didn't try to get any more. The place was mismanaged the whole time I worked there. My parents split up when I was 3 years old in 1999. Also, in 1999, the film Tarzan was released along with the Phil Collins song You'll Be in My Heart. When my parents split and I became an anxiety-ridden emotional mess, they both individually told me that You'll Be in My Heart was my special song with that parent, and that if I got scared, I should just play that song. Their divorce got really nasty, and the fights and dysfunction would be unbearable at points. But they both individually would still, and even today, say that that song was my special song with each of them. I've thought about saying something before, but it feels like my own special connection with my family, broken though it may be. A former friend of mine doesn't know that I caught her trying to cheat on her husband. She and one of her husband's friends were sexting, exchanging pictures and talking about how they wanted to get together, but they had to figure out how to keep it a secret from her husband and his partner. I was using her computer, and she didn't realize that she'd left Facebook open while she was messaging him. She stopped speaking to me because I started dating another guy that she'd also made a pass at before, and she and her husband banned me from their home because they claimed that I violated their boundaries. They assumed that any time this guy and I went off to talk privately, that we must be getting down and dirty in their house. Ugh. So, your friend is jealous of you hitting on a man that she made a pass on, and bans you from her house on motives of violating her boundaries, while actively sexting with her husband's friends. Sounds like she has a really toxic relationship with sexuality overall. Yeah, I agree. It sounds like she could have been projecting her own guilt and lack of self-control onto her friend. I think this person dodged a bullet here. I had a relative who was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and they ended up getting a huge payout from it before kicking the proverbial bucket. During the last few months they had left, they spent a few grand and gifted me a four-wheeler. We were sitting around and making inappropriate jokes one day about what their final hours would look like while flipping through an Auto Trader magazine. I saw an ad for a four-wheeler and said it looked nice, and then we immediately went and bought it, because apparently you can't take money into the hereafter. The whole thing was just a surreal spur-of-the-moment, screw-it decision. The four-wheeler ended up getting stolen about a year later, and no one could figure out who stole it. I didn't learn who the thief was until about 20 years after. My cousin's grandma confessed that a family friend stole it because he wanted to get even with me for making fun of his girlfriend. I don't even know what the heck I said about the dude's girlfriend, because I was 12 years old at the time the four-wheeler was stolen, and he was 36. 12-year-old me was not good at making fun of anyone or anything. Now, whenever I see this family friend out and about, I always make sure to ask him if he's come across any decent four-wheelers lately. He's about 5 feet, weighs maybe 140 pounds, soaking wet, and is built like a parking meter. One of my biceps has a larger circumference than his entire waist. I don't even care about the four-wheeler anymore. I just enjoy watching him go into a full-on panic attack every time I ask him about four-wheelers. He's not a good person, and never has been. So at this point, I have no remorse about any of this. He thinks I might know that he stole it, but he's also a druggie and thinks I might not actually know that he stole it. And it's that little sliver of head hope that makes me laugh the hardest. How I do my job. I'm a female youth soccer referee, and I have a big reputation of being very professional and good at what I do. I have reffed some of the highest level games you can get at my age. Still, the old men I ref with seem to need to mansplain to me how to do my job, before they've seen me do it. I'm automatically underestimated just because I'm a girl, and it seems like I have less authority than that of a 6'3" old man who surely has years more experience than I do. While I was in middle school, our apartment was robbed sometime between my mom leaving for work and me coming home for lunch. About 6 months ago, I found out that people who robbed us were my best friend's brother and aunt. My best friend's ex-wife told me this. In hindsight, everything that happened leading up to that day should have made it obvious. Funny enough, I hadn't seen this person in 10 years, and when my health started declining, I reached out to him to make amends while I could. This was about a year before I found out. Wait. So the supposed best friend knew that his brother and aunt were going to case his buddy's house. Now, I can understand why he wouldn't have told his friend and why he would have ghosted his buddy for all those years. Guilt, and then, telling his wife, getting it off his chest, all that. That makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense is how did the brother and aunt know how to get into this guy's house? Did the best friend know where the key was hidden? Or did he help out in some way? And why specifically was this guy targeted? The best friend of the little brother? That doesn't make sense to me. And the poster mentions how everything leading up to that day should have made it obvious that those were the people who robbed them. So I'm wondering if this was something of an inside job. That's messed up, man. I used to live with my ex and her mom. 2 times when I got home from work, my ex wasn't home and used the excuse, "Mom sent me for an errand." I saw a text on her mom's phone that said, "Ex, where is he? What do I do?" Mom, "Well, I told him you went on an errand for me, so you can't come back empty-handed, otherwise he'll know something." Never thought she'd cheat or lie like that, nor did I think her mom would cover for her. But people will screw you over no matter how well you treat them. Like I said, she's my ex now, so I don't know if I should bring it up or just let it go. Either way, I'm done with her. My dad used to drink a lot more than he would admit to. He would try and pretend that he would have a glass of wine at the end of the day, but my brother and I would find bottles of vodka hidden in the bushes, in his filing cabinets, in the back seat of his truck. Never called him out on it, because he could never call us on stealing his vodka when it wasn't his. So one night, he woke me and my brother up at 3 a.m. to listen to a podcast he was listening to about lizard people, and thought it was like Japan attacking Pearl Harbor. He was obviously drunk. But, I think he's quit now, though I haven't been over there to see for myself in some time. My daughter doesn't think that I know she's not straight. She accidentally let me know when she was telling me about a guy at school who was giving her and her friend, whose name she specifically avoided, a hard time about having crushes on each other. She said she made plans with a friend to see the school counselor about it. Then later she told me that she and the friend whose name she now dropped spoke to the counselor and all was well. I don't know if she just didn't realize she let the name slip or what. She also knows that I check her messaging and email, and she talks openly with her friends about it, and about being unsure how her parents or grandparents would respond to her dating another girl. I've told her, not subtly at all, that I don't care if she likes boys or girls, or what she does with whoever she wants. That I'm proud of her because she's a good person with a big heart. And she still thinks I don't know. My girlfriend doesn't know that I found out why her ex dumped her. She lied to him and all of their friends, and she said she was being treated for stomach cancer for the whole time she knew them. She keeps lying to me about things too. I only found this all out after we'd had a child together, and I know her and her family are the type that will do or say anything to make sure I can't get any custody. So I'm biding my time and getting proof of things before I leave. I've been sleeping on the sofa for the last couple years while trying to sort all this crap out so that I can get to see my kid after I do leave. And so that she can't try to make up some evil nonsense about me to tell the courts, or our kid, or anyone else for that matter. She was the love of my life. I really mean that. I would have done anything for her. I've been with her for more than 10 years, known her for more than 20, and I can't believe she's been lying to me the whole time. There's so much more, but I don't know what's real and what's not. She even said she was SA'd, but she told her friends that it was by someone different than the guy she told me it was. So I'm pretty sure that's BS too. I realized a long time ago that I don't know her at all, because I can't know what's real and what isn't. I just know that it's a really, really dangerous place to be stuck in if she ever finds out that I know. Last year, I found out my parents have been lying to me about a traumatic brain injury that left me permanently disabled as a child, due to extreme neglect. As in, they minimized it and told me a version of the story that painted themselves as innocent. Meanwhile, I was still expected to be the perfect child at all times. My parents don't know that I know this, nor that I'm in the process of cutting contact. Everyone blamed my nephew for stealing my dad's Rolex and university ring before he died. The ring was a unique one with a large red ruby. My mom and I both know it was my sister-in-law, as she suddenly had a lot of cash that week. I sure hope they told people that it was the sister-in-law, because otherwise that nephew's getting a whole lot of crap for a whole lot of nothing. And I think if they didn't even try, that makes them just as bad as the sister-in-law. Because now not only is that kid going to grow up being ostracized and gaslit by the entire family for something that he didn't do, but if the sister-in-law in question is his mother, she's now also going to instill her values in this poor kid, and he's going to grow to be so messed up. Okay, now we're going to jump into the rapid fire segment for stories too short to make a full entry out of, but too good to be left out. Let's jump right in. The fact that one of my friends tried to hook up with my wife when we started dating. The same friend who set us up on our first date. That my cousin's brother cheated on her. She knows, but doesn't know I know. I know that my cat tries to sneak extra treats when I'm not looking. A lot of very questionable and some unethical things that each of my managers have done. My weight cycling almond mom, who has been bragging about her recent practice of intuitive eating, has in fact been on Ozempic for months. People think I'm a clueless ditz, but I'm really just socially anxious and keep conversations shallow and quick so I can escape to my cave. My boss wears a wig. It's not an obvious wig, it's an extremely good and expensive wig. My mom doesn't know I've known she's had a boyfriend for 2 years, even though she denies it. My wife's arrogant, holier-than-thou, Bible-thumping little sister was sneaking several different guys through her window for years until she went to Christian college. That I'm a bigger guy, and that being husky is a risk factor for health problems. A lot of people seem to think they need to tell me that. So guys, that's it for today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm ReddList. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.